Hi everybody, today's lesson is all about the general form of a linear equation ax plus by plus c equals 0. Previously what we actually learnt about is the gradient intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Now just to give you a little bit of revision, this represents the gradient, which was the direction of the line, as well as the y-intercept. And this is why it's called the gradient intercept form, because it actually gives you these two pieces of information. Now, when we rearrange this equation later on, we're going to arrive at a form called the general form. The general form is expressed as ax plus by plus c equals 0, where these three numbers, a, b, and c, they must all be integers. Integers are, remember, minus 1, minus 2, 0, 1, 2. They're just basically positive and negative whole numbers, including the 0 in the middle. And the other important part is that a must be positive here. Okay, so your general form must start with something like 2x plus 3y plus 5, where that's positive. If it's something like minus 2x plus 3y minus 5 equals 0, then that's no good. Alright, so let's have a look at example 1. Write each linear equation in general form. Okay. So what we're going to do here is ask ourselves, is the coefficient of x positive? It is. So if it's positive, we wouldn't move it to the other side. Okay, because moving it to the other side, or subtracting 6x to both sides, will make the x coefficient negative. So we won't do that. We'll keep it on this side. And what we want to do is remove y from the left-hand side and move it to this side. Okay? So the whole objective of a general form is to move all the terms to one side. So you can either do this to that side or this term to that side, but you have to maintain x being positive. So it's positive here. So I am going to subtract y to both sides, like so. And y minus y is 0. And then I'm going to rewrite this in the form of ax plus by plus c equals 0. So we're going to start off by writing our 6y, but we have to slot in the minus y inside there, plus 2, and that's equal to 0, and we can swap that around, like so, so that's equal to 0, and I have finalized my general form. Question B is a little bit more difficult. The first thing that you'll notice is that the coefficient of x here is negative 2/3. First of all, it's negative, so I don't like this term being on this side of the equation then, because it will be negative, and we want it to be positive. So we want to move this term to the other side. But the other alternate thing that we're going to do is that this is a fraction, and we want it to be an integer. So we're going to get rid of this divided by 3 here. And the way you do that is by multiplying all the terms here, all three terms, by that number on the denominator. So basically, we'll multiply by 3, we'll multiply by 3, and multiply by 3. Alright, now that will get us 3y, okay? Now let me just show you what happens here for these two things multiplied. If I have negative 2/3 times 3, okay, I can do this two different ways. I can multiply that 3 to the negative 2 on the top, and that will give me negative 6 over 3, which is simply negative 2. Or, what I can do is, because there's a divided by 3 and then a times 3 here, you can do that first. So when you divide something by 3 and times by 3, they basically cancel each other because they are inverse operations. So that leaves you with negative 2. So by multiplying any fraction with the denominator, which in this case is 3, we'll get rid of that denominator, which is excellent. So we're going to have negative 2x followed by a positive 2 times 3, which is simply 6. Now remember what I said before, the coefficient of x is still negative. So we still have to move this term to the other side to make a positive. But we should do that to both these terms. So if I plus 2x, to this side. I have to plus 2x to this side. But I also have to minus 6 to this side, and then minus 6 to that side. Okay? So, in short, what happens is when you move any of these terms over to another side of the equation, the sign just changes. So negative becomes positive, positive becomes negative. So instead of doing this all the time, okay, we can simply think of it as just moving terms over and then switching the sign. So we're going to have 2x plus 3y, which was there already, and we're going to minus 6, and that is equal to 0. Let's move on. Question C is also another question with a fraction. And what you'll notice is that there's a 5 divided on the bottom. So we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to multiply by that 5 to all 3 of the terms on the left and right side of the equation. So 5 times y is 5y. In the middle, 2x times 5 is 10x. And then 3 and 5 times 5, well, if I do that, okay, let me just write that aside here. Remember how I said that when you have divided by 5 and times 5, the inverse operations, they cancel each other out. So that means that there is a negative 3 left, like so. Then you have to analyze, does the x stay put over there, or does it move over to the other side? Is it positive? Is it happy where it is? It is positive, okay? All right, so we're going to leave it here as well as this here. So that means anything on the other side of the equation, so the 5y, has to move to the other side. So because this is a positive 5y, if we move it to the other side, it just becomes a negative. Okay, and I'm going to put that right in between the 10x and negative 3. So you can see that there. And we will switch it around so that the 0 is on the right-hand side of the equation. There we go. Question D is also another question where you've got a fraction. The denominator in this case is the number 2. So we'll multiply all these numbers here by 2 so that you get negative 6x equals to half y times 2, which is y. Okay? Because 2 halves are 1, so it's 1y. Then plus 4 times 2 is 8. And then ask ourselves, is x happy being there? It's negative. It's not happy being there. So we're going to move it to the other side where it's going to be positive. Right. So moving that over gives us 0 things left on the left-hand side. Then on the right-hand side, we'll have a positive 6x plus y plus the 8. And as we did before, we're going to just switch around our terms. So it's going to be 6x plus y plus 8 equals 0. Okay, I hope we all understand that so far. I'm going to move on to question 2. Find the gradient and y-intercept of the line whose equation is this. So you can see that both of these are written in general form. We're going to change this, okay, to y equals mx plus b, okay, which is the gradient intercept form. Okay, so this will allow us to find these two things that they want. Now, let's have a look at what makes the gradient intercept form. It's where the y has to be by itself on one side of the equation, okay, preferably the left. So let's have a look at where y is, okay. In this equation, you've got 2y here, okay. So we're going to leave it right there, and it's positive, which is excellent. We're going to move these two over. So when you move this over to the other side, okay, it goes from positive to negative. When you move this one, which is negative 10, to the other side, you get a positive answer. So we'll get 2y being left here, okay, and that's equal to negative 5x plus 10. So just to reiterate, 5x positive becomes negative. Negative 10 move to other side becomes positive. Then what we've got to do is we have to get rid of that 2, which is multiplied by the y. To do that, we will divide every term by the number 2 like that. And so these 2's will cancel because the inverse operations of each other. So y is simply minus 5 on 2, and we can just take that x out a little bit and put that right here. Okay, just mentioning that to you that negative 5x over 2 is the same as negative 5 over 2x, like that. Okay, so they're the same thing. Then we still have to write down that plus 10 over 2, but we can simplify that. That would get us basically number 5. And so the two pieces of information that we need, which is the gradient and y-intercept, m is negative 5 and 2. That's simply this number here, just right before the x. And our y-intercept is simply the positive 5 there. Okay? Question B. All right. So we've got to do something similar here. We have to move our other terms to the other side. So instead of negative 2y, we'll move 3x to the other side, and that becomes negative 3x. When a positive 4 moves to the other side, it becomes negative 4. And right now what we've got is a negative 2 times by y. So we've got to divide by that negative 2 to get rid of it. So every term must be divided by negative 2. So the first negative 2 before the y divided by negative 2 cancels. So that y is now left with negative 3 over negative 2. Well, 2 can't go into 3, so we'll leave it as it is. But a negative divided by a negative gives you a positive. So we're going to write down 3x over 2, or we can write down 3 over 2 like that, and an x right beside it. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 will be a positive 2. So now we have this integrand intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And now we can find out what our gradient is, which is the number 3 over 2, the number before the x, okay? And our y-intercept here, which is b equals to 2. Okay? All right, I hope that helps you guys. Do your homework.